Hey, whoa, yeet, whoa, whoa, hey, whoa, ha. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Hey, hey. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Happy to see you guys in here. It's the trade room, y'all. We got charts today. We go macro. We thinking big picture. Let's go now. Let's go now. Let's go now. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. This is about to be fun. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. It's a macro Saturday. We got things to talk about. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Listen, like, subscribe, put your alerts on. I'm happy to see y'all here today. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. Hey, welcome to the trade room, y'all. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. It's a macro Saturday. Welcome to the trade room, y'all. We're gonna get started soon, guys. Love you guys for showing up. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share with a friend. It's time to get litty. See you soon. Wow. Wow. Light for president. Light for president. Thought I had everything on point, but what is up, guys? Take two. Welcome to the trade room today. Even though we had a muted start, I hope that the beginning lifted you guys up and you guys are ready to go. You know, on Saturdays, we could be doing a lot of other things. We could be going out, could be watching Saturday night college football, but we're here. All right, thanks guys for the mic check there. Welcome to the trade room today. Today we got a lot to go through. Shout out to my boy Light, always looking out. He's not on the stream with us today. This man is flying across states and countries and doing this left and doing this right. So shout out to him for chasing all his aspirations there. But what is on today's lineup, right? What is up on today's lineup? Again, as I was saying, shout out to Mega, shout out to Skiller, shout out to Light, shout out to Red Room Media, shout out to everybody pulling up today. it's time to talk about some things, man. This is the trade room, but we're here to talk macro. And so, what do we have for our macro lineup today? Well, we're going to start with the proper party XRP Ripple. Why I will not be here 2 weeks from now. We got some things lined up. Kong, what's happening, Kong? Shout out, welcome to the room. So we're gonna talk about the proper party. We're gonna talk about again. This podcast is what is happening outside. What is happening outside of your bubble of DFK, of crypto gaming, um, of investing. We're just gonna keep pushing it out macro wise. What's happening outside our space, and how it's gonna affect our space, and the federal rate hikes, and what's happening in the U.S. capital markets has a lot to do with that, right? We're going to talk about the U.S. financial meetings. All right. Crypto is global, crypto is international. But when you look at it, the one major country that is really fighting crypto right now is the US. What's happening, with that right now? These senators, congressmen are meeting and coming up with their frameworks, and they're having um, certain people on the each side voting for crypto and some of them against crypto, right? US elections are coming up. One little fact or one little trend that we see in markets, at least in the stock market, is during presidential election years, markets really tend to go up. And you'll see this, as the elections come about and then leading to the announcement of the president and 30 to 60 days thereafter. So those are just macro things that we look at, macro things that we see. We compare those fundamentals to what we see on the charts, and it helps us just make better inferences, right? And so we'll talk about the U.S. financial meetings that's been happening and my thoughts on it. You have, BTC and crypto macro outlook. Uh, we're here in GameFi, but Bitcoin runs this train. It may not run it forever. You may see decouplings of certain altcoins as we go down the line, 10, 20, 30 years down the line. But, what does BTC look like right now, next 30 to 60 days? And then what does BTC look like for next 2 to 3 years? And then what does BTC look like for the next 7 to 10 to 20 years? And so I have the 10 plus 10 here. And the 10 means the first 10 years of Bitcoin's existence and the next 10 years of Bitcoin's existence, and what that says about the rest of the markets. And we'll look at charts for that. We're going to get into the next crypto gem, episode 2. Now, I saw episode 2. It came out a little late. Uh, you know, Pretty much saw the first, I guess, 14 minutes, and then for some reason, distro, um, it wasn't working. It would show me a lot of commercials, but it would not populate to the actual show. So I'll give my rendition of the first half that I've seen and my inference on basically looking past what the show is and, oh my god, did they do well or did they not, and more so the significance of what these movements that Kingdom Studios is making right now. So the next crypto gem, we'll talk about um DFK AMA Alpha. AMA happens every week, every what, Thursday, at 2 p.m. Eastern. But you tune in. Sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're not. The team is very consistent with it. But I have my bits of alpha that I caught from the AMA, so we'll slide over that. And then the $13 holla. Where are we in that stage? We know we have Troll Crypto. We know we have Mega. We know we have DAGs. And we know we have Affinity as the 4 participants. We have Worm in this with us as well. What's happening, Grady? Go. Um, so yeah, we know we have, we know we have these four participants with us, and this challenge is being sponsored by the Trade Room. And at the current moment, these participants have had some time to, take their $13, um, get their heroes, set up their strategies. 2 3 weeks now. What is it looking like? Who's making a move here, who's making a move there, and we'll talk about a duels edition that we're going to be doing about a week from now. And we're going to figure out the best time to set it up for you guys between me, Dags, Affinity, Troll, and Worm as well. But it's going to be fun. All right. Boar hunting is coming. We got to see how our heroes are working. And the $13 holla is going to give us an opportunity to see how these four players are attacking, going against each other. Right. And so that'll be cool to see. And then I may do a summon. You guys know I'm on my paladin build right now. Recently, with even Skiller's help, I'm on my sage hunt right now. And it's been an incredibly busy week at work, and I haven't even gotten my summons done. So depending on how we are, what we're doing, leading into the jewelers podcast later today, we may do a summon. Big shout out to the jewelers. These guys are big team players here. These guys are all about connecting and just figuring out how to grow the community in a wholesome way. Big shout out to Dags. All right. Me and him are facing each other this week in fantasy football. And we'll see how that goes, because me and Dax have had a friendly competition, a friendly type of vibe. So without further ado, we're gonna hop right into the first thing in the lineup for this podcast. So look, I'm here in a DFK realm. I'm doing charts in DFK. We're getting the commentating ready for when PvP, PvE, and tournament style activities are going on. But some of us are in other ecosystems. I know Grady, he's huge into the weight hourglass ecosystem. So we're all dipping and dabbing. I know some of you guys are in the thing on X, the friend tech thing, where you guys are swimming in that. Tro does his thing with Crow. And that ecosystem. But you guys know I'm big time XRP dude. Okay, that's what I do. All right, and I've been in that ecosystem, and even in my last video release um of the economics theory, right? Economic hardening, that theory that I have with DeFi kingdoms and its ecosystem. A part of that analysis incorporated the case with Ripple versus the SEC, and with finding XRP a non-security, what that has done for uh, the rest of the crypto market and these teams and these executives that are running these crypto ecosystems, i.e., Dreamer and Frixie Fox. All right, and on the Ripple end, i.e., Brad Garland House and Chris Larson, and David Schwartz. And so that's been huge. And people are like, "Oh, XRP price is not moving." Um, my greatest example is Tesla. Tesla winning their case against the SEC in 2018. And 3 years from that date, Tesla was up about 2,000%. And till this date, if we move it up to 2023, Tesla's up like 5,000% since ending their case with the SEC, having a disruptive technology. Okay. Tesla was going to disrupt the gas combustion automobile industry. And so, some way, somehow, let's drop a lawsuit on them. Okay. Ripple, using the XRPL technology, speed, efficiency, and complete settlement, right? Complete movement of value to value. Well, forces that may be, government may not have their hands on it, and it may be disrupting the traditional movement of money, which is done in ACH forms and wires and things of that nature. So that's a little quick theory on just the comparison of those things. But through it all, that litigation and that move, especially even the litigation with Coinbase, is going to set the stage. Yeah, Grady, catch up on the AMA. Catch up on the AMA. It was. I got some alpha. I'm dropping from the AMA too. So you guys stay tuned for that. That's gonna be fourth or fifth thing we talk about today. I got a little alpha on the AMA. But yeah, so you know, so what's happening now with the XRP court case is, so it's not over. Okay, the court case is not over. Okay, the judge ruled on five things. Four of them leaned more towards Ripple's way, and how XRP is looked at in terms of its functionality. And if it's not a security, what is it? It's a commodity. It's a commodity in an ecosystem that's working in this world. And I compare Ripple a lot to Amazon, and people look at me in some way. But when you look at Ripple and what it's doing with the technology it has, you look at Amazon and what it did as a proof of work was to focus on one thing and to show the world that this business is capable. And so Amazon was able to take their business, focus on one thing, and then have a web of connections, or a network effect, and then pushed out different services and products to where they're now Amazon cloud services, they're now using more technology than what delivering books. And so you have Ripple, which is a fintech company that creates financial technology software for banks, countries, corporations, your grandma if she wants to. They're just a company that develops financial fintech software products for anybody that it's going to work for. And they just happen to be big enough and well organized enough to do these things for different entities, countries, and even the governments, right? And so a lot of people look at Ripple and what they're doing with CBDCs. But hey, if I have a company, and I know Grady had a company, and still has, I think, a few companies. You come to my door. Okay, I have these services. What can I do for you? Okay, you need this. Okay, I can do it for you. Now, what you choose to do with that from there is not up to me. And there should be regulators that oversee whatever industry you're in to make sure you're following whatever regulatory protocols, in which if you tell us as a company, we'll make sure things fit in a regulatory section that works for you. Right. And so the reason why I'm bringing all these things together is that the court case is still going, even though we have this precedence that we have here, and it's with Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, the current CEO and CFO of the company, for selling XRP to the markets, which they had every legal right to. That is going to maybe happen and actually go to trial for another year. But why is then? And I'm going to share my screen here. This is the first thing that I'm going to share here. Let me make sure that my StreamYards is active here. Again, guys, thanks for showing up today. It's going to be a good conversation. We're going to look at everything that's happening outside of our ecosystem, and it's important to do that because sometimes we can get looped in. Dags, what up? You just finished dinner? I was telling the room that me and you are facing each other today, and we haven't talked much trash at all. Grady's here. Look, me and Dags have not talked much trash about this fantasy week that's going on, but my tight end has started really well on that Thursday night football and has given me about 24 points. And right now I have a 63% chance of beating Dags to go 2-0, you know, in this little fantasy football. But that's all I'll say. You know, it's a really good pool of players, including Crypto Grady, Dags, and some Mega and some other guys there. We got a few jewel up for grabs with the fantasy football, so it's made the season very exciting. Um, so let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll finish my little XRP and Ripple proper party rant here. Um, let's see. Yeah, so the case is still going on, right? And so why why is Ripple throwing a party in 2 weeks in New York City if the case is still going on and the price of XRP has done this since the court case? That is because no no matter what happens with the trial of Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, the XRPL, the XRP ledger, it's still uh, its own thing. The company can go away and the XRP ledger is still there, right? It still does what it needs to do. Ripple proved out that they can totally have a functional business model with payments. They worked on payments for 10 years. And remember when we talk about the Bitcoin 10 plus 10, they've dominated payments for 10 years. They have proof of work. Now they're expanding to custody. So, like how Coinbase has custody, Ripple's is working custody. They have a liquidity hub. They are looking to be the rails and the new rails of the financial systems that are built out here. And the XRPL just happens to be the technology they deemed could work best for that use case. And now, just like Amazon, they're going to expand their product case, their product base, and their tech stack as well. And so, um, this is what I say, right? The proper party is the 29th. I'm gonna go. We're gonna have a great time because if you've been following what's been happening with not only the technology, a little bit of the drama with Ethereum, which I don't want to get into today, a little bit of the drama with Ethereum and what has come out in this court case, it is undoubtable. XRP ecosystem is clear to go. And with all the heat that Gary Gensler is getting, we know that the US is putting together their standards, right? And their framework to make sure that they can govern at least the US part of the blockchain ecosystem, and that they have a staple to say, hey, wherever this thing is going, we clamp down on them and we set these regulations, and it's okay for now BlackRock and all you guys to come in. So the proper party is going to be fun. There will be no stream on that day. Okay. Um, Grady says some of the trash talk this year has been the best I've seen ever. Yeah, fantasy football is fun. Fantasy football is fun. Colorado football plays tonight. When I come off of this, boy, we are watching that Colorado team. And that's had some trash talk in there as well, with the Colorado State coach saying some things. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But yeah, Dags, thanks for showing up, man. It's okay. We'll see you later. So that's the proper party. Okay. It's oh, excuse me. I hope my computer isn't lagging right now. Guys, give me a Coach Prime. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear or see me. I'm not sure, but my computer seems to be freaking out a little bit. Give me a 1 or a 2 if you can hear me. Not sure what's going on right now. Oh, I'm still good? Okay, cool. I guess it's just my screen that freaked out. So right now I cannot move from the current screen that I'm at. But I will keep oh nice. I will keep talking, and we'll keep getting through this agenda. We see the Twitch. What is the Twitch? The tweet? Okay. All right, cool. So hopefully this thing buffers out and I can switch from where it's at right now over to the next slide. But for now, we will keep it there and continue to talk about the agenda. So to wrap up the proper party, I believe that XRP price, and people are watching price. I was gonna go look at the chart, um, but we can't make that move right now. I think the XRP chart is the best macro long term looking chart I've seen in a while. Next 12 to about 10 years. Love what the XRP price chart looks like. And for me, XRP is something that I can accumulate over a long period of time. You know, we don't all have 10,000, 5,000, even $1,000 to throw into something at once. And I'm watching a certain asset class, I'm watching a technology, I'm watching them try to get beat up by the government, and they're checking every mark. And so if it takes me 10 years to accumulate X amount, I love that it's giving me time to do that, you know, opposed to some of the things that we catch and try to go very short term with. So I think, you know, okay, so went up, right? Went up only for something like XRP. Um, once in the next 12 to 18 months, the first major bank in the US, the first major company in the US to launch with Ripple, whatever fintech product, whatever product stack they decide to launch, that first case, just like with Tesla, will be an indication that, you know, right now Ripple's business is Mm, 99% outside the US. So once they start having US companies utilizing their services, that's when you'll really see a change in price, because that's going to be the open gate for more liquidity to come into not only its XRP ecosystem, but by that time, it'll mean that US companies have had some time to now start flooding into crypto as well. Grady says, what would you say the utility of the XRP coin? Why does someone need the coin? Oh, that's an easy one, Grady. Grady, you asked. That's a great question. Okay, so the utility of the XRP token in the first instance is just its efficiency, how quick it is, how efficient it is, and over the last 13, now going on 14 years, one of the only comparisons to Bitcoin for what? For its active time, right? So if you can stay active and not go down, you have Solana, which a lot of people like, which has gone down maybe 5 to 6 times. The network itself has gone down. So a proof of security over 13, 14 years, a proof of speed, a proof of efficiency. If I asked you right now, Grady, to move $30 million around right now, get $30 million, Grady, right now from where you are right now to Brazil, and you are competing with 10 other people for your life, you are going to make that transaction in XRP because that's going to be the cheapest option for you. You could use XLM as well, but XLM is a fork of XRP. You can use other blockchains and ecosystems that are cheaper transaction as well, but that's just the first instance. The second instance is the economic hardening theory that I have about um, Defikingdoms and Jewel and its ecosystem and how they're getting their economic hardening. There's there's onus to having an ecosystem that stands the test of time. You have a lot of these new things popping up saying that, you know, we're good, we can stay active, but they're not able to. So that's just the first instance of a utility that I'll put there for you. But it really is about what rails and what first mover or second mover or third mover advantage that you have there. But speed, efficiency, and if I want to move $30 million around right now, I'm using XRP or XLM. if my life depended on it, I'm gonna beat anybody else that has a gun to their head. Um, Dag says sounds like money laundering. Um, no, because if you're gonna move that around again, whether it's Ripple or whether it's the XRPL ecosystem, Ripple's been a company that's always wanted to work with the proper parties, wanted to do the right things, wanted to put out quarterly reports and be very transparent with its ecosystem. Meanwhile, you have other entities and companies that are just not transparent at all. So a lot of times XRP is not shiny and it's not the latest thing because it just works. And just to add more to what Grady was asking, it just works. It simply just works, and it has the ecosystem to be able to support trillions of dollars. Solana can say it's the next thing, and some of these other blockchains can say it's the next thing. But do you have the bandwidth to support $30 trillion that comes into your ecosystem every single day for 365 days a year? Can your blockchain handle that? We see what's happening with DFK, with $30 million floating, even at the highest, $1 billion floating, and there was a lot of bandwidth issues, right? So yeah, I'm a little bummed that my screen is doing this, but I'm gonna try my best, guys, to move on to the next set of things without the visuals, without the graphics there. Um, why wouldn't you just use the market in DFK to move it? Yeah, Dags. I mean that would be a part of the process if through the bazaar, if through the bazaar the bazaar becomes a beautiful liquidity filled DEX that's able to easily um, move through any blockchain, any ecosystem, and be able to interact with it. That starts to have us have a conversation about the technology end of things, right? Interoperability. You can have your blockchain, but if you don't have the engines and the rails behind it, for it to communicate with APIs, for it to communicate with blockchains, for it to communicate with the internet, right? HTTPS, other protocols, then your ecosystems becomes a bubble, and it's hard for you to interact or communicate with anybody else. Um, Okay, so yeah, that's the proper party. Just what's happening outside the ecosystem. That's what we're looking at. I'm gonna do my best to troubleshoot my screen while I move on to the next subject, which is the Fed and the Fed rate hikes and the bad economic numbers that we are currently happening. Control Alt Shift. So the Federal Reserve is not the $13. Wait, hold on. So Light says all I gotta say is I'm botting, baby. Huh. Um Grady says how much liquidity is on the XRP chain? Good question, Grady. Uh, you know, when XRP moves to first of all, the market cap right now is 40 billion. The market cap right now is 40 billion. And I'll even take man, my computer right here. I wish I could just show you the tokenomics of XRP here. Yeah, but the market cap is about 40 billion. It's number 5 or 6. The volume at the current state is probably sitting at like, I don't know, close to like maybe 100 million, maybe more than that. But I know at certain points, like even when it popped to 90 cents, when the last bull market, when it got as high as 190 a dollar and 98 cents, volume could get to about a billion in volume. So again, financial rails. It's about the financial rails and a part of the technology stack And the development that's happening on the XRPL ecosystem is the liquidity hub. Literally, Ripple is using the XRP ledger to create liquidity rails, liquidity hubs. They're buying out businesses that have, again, shown the proof of work that those businesses have been able to provide financial products and be profitable for 5, 6, 10 plus years. They're creating not just the blockchain and the transaction of value, but they're creating the rails, the train stations, um, those type of things. So good question, Grady. Dag says not on $13 holla, right? Um, no, not on a $13 holla. I think I understand what you're saying there. Man, I am bummed that my MacBook is holding out on me like this. Let's see if I can do a little something here. All right, cool. So the Federal Reserve, right? Economic numbers. We're gonna skip over that. The U.S. hearings. I had some videos for you guys. We're gonna skip over that. Um, the spot BTC. We were gonna look at some Bitcoin charts, and just see where Bitcoin is right now. We're not able to do that, but w- basically the Bitcoin chart right now, short term, we've been having some aggressive downside. We're trying to get back into a range, but I think next 2 to 4 weeks we're going to see Bitcoin. We should see some impulses to the upside. Not saying that there's not any more downside, but if there is downside, it's a retest of 25.7, a retest of 25.4, a retest of 25.6. It's possible. A lot of the longs have been liquidated. And, you know, there aren't many longs being laid out right now, but some aggressive impulses come in and take us to about 27,000. You will see people start to short Bitcoin at that moment. But if that impulse is strong enough, we'll see some buyers come in pretty strong. And may just push us. 27 is definitely going to be resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an immediate impulse and an immediate correction from there. But if buyers come in, we're definitely on our way to 29, and eventually that big test at 30. So we'll see how that pans out. But that's the inference, that's the analysis on Bitcoin right there. With Bitcoin is 10 plus 10 years. So Bitcoin, just like how the example I gave for XRP, Bitcoin has showed the proof of concept for Bitcoin, which is why millionaires and billionaires feel good about putting their money in there. Bitcoin is the best security asset in crypto right now. And it showed proof of work for 10 years. And we're now in 3 of the next 10 years that's come about. And so where do I see Bitcoin? I definitely see Bitcoin above 100,000 next 5 to 10 years. Some massive corrections, to 40, 60K within that cycle, and a pretty long bear market after this current push. Light says, uh, Light says, Dag's got 4 bots running now, baby. Yeah, I'm botting one account. I gotta tell you, I'm botting one account. And that's just helping me live my life and do what I gotta do. Light says gonna get some XRP. Hey, I can have streams where I talk about the technology of XRP and everything, and we'll have those streams for that. But we're gonna move on to the next thing, right? Um, so the AMA, okay, I said I had some alpha for you guys for the AMA. So while I'm troubleshooting my computer right here, the AMA was cool. We got to be grateful to the team that whether individuals are traveling, whether they have stuff going on, uh, you know, they make sure to put out those weekly AMAs. A few things were talked about. For me, I follow and focus on the yellow eggs. I focus on the yellow eggs. And so, there was a comment said about, hey, you're letting these the other pets, hatch, and is there a discrepancy or a disadvantage? And yeah, that was acknowledged. Yeah, there may be a current disadvantage to minors right now. But there's a focus, right? There's a focus, and the focus right now is the gameplay. So with the focus being the gameplay, yeah, there's gonna be periods and times in which the team has to prioritize one thing over the other. Um, and that's just what it's gonna be. And so, we can look at that on one end and be disappointed and say, "Oh, yellow eggs and miners are going to crash," or we can look at that as, wow, this is a great opportunity. If you don't have a good miner base, if you're not ready or prepared to hatch some pets or to go buy some pets, this is your opportunity. Because if you're looking at the green pet eggs and how the green pet eggs moved towards their hatching and therefore after their hatching, green pet eggs is one of the strongest movers in the ecosystem right now, and it looks like it's ready to break out. I wish I could show my charts right now. I wish I could show the rest of my screen right now. But green pet eggs have been doing their thing and probably ready to break out a little bit. And if yellow pet eggs follow that trajectory, then this is the time to stack up. Stack up. For me, I'm stacking up on gold, macro, super macro term, stacking up on yellow eggs, and stacking up on gold eggs because that's on sale too. But it is about the gameplay, and we want to see the gameplay develop and come out. So completely understand why the team is doing that. And there was a conversation about if you go to the trader and you buy the gold pet eggs goes up. Well, right now it's about 60,000 gold to grab a gold pet egg, and previously it was about 50,000. Even with the current upwards price action of the gold price chart, and so that was discussed. Moving on from there, there were some amulets discussed, right? We know that with the boar hunt coming, um, there's some amulets there. Light says, I'm stocking up on green and gold and yellow. You stacking up on green? I kind of stopped with the green. I was like, yo, green pet eggs is moving. If I get any, like while, gardening, cool. Um, but even with 100+ heroes, you're not getting that many green eggs because, what I'm saying? Like, unless you're like Light, who has 500+ heroes, and he may be able to pop a green egg, a couple a week. I'm looking at the yellow egg. I can accumulate it in numbers of 20, 10, 5, 10, 40, and we can work with that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Light says we stocked up 2 days ago. Red Room Media says that's a given though. Stay focused on completing the gameplay. Exactly. That's one of my favorite phrases. Stick to the strategy. You know what I'm saying? Ain't shit changed. That's one of my slogans right there. So yeah. But the amulets. All right. There was a lot of amulet talk in the AMA. And, you know, right now, there are items that you can either go quest for or go buy. Okay. But these amulets that will be dropping, I believe, from the boar hunt and the first round of expeditions. I think I'm saying exploration. I keep mixing those up. Light always corrects me. Um, PvP first. Yeah, Light says PvP first. Whether it's PvP or the boar hunt, I think it's the boar hunt first. But these amulets that we are going to get dropped down to us are not going to be easily attained. That's a price impact. On top of that, uh, you're going to there was something about dust. There was something about dust that was dropped in there. And so, I keep talking to Light to have him explain better to me what that could be indication of. But if there's dust, does that mean that you have amulets or weapons or shields that can be destroyed, and then you need dust, whatever that form is. Maybe you need gold to make this dust, and what happens after that? You can now take your broken down weapons, take the gold and the dust that you created, and then use your heroes to repair these broken down items. What's going on here, Light? Talk to us. Give us. I thought I caught some alpha there, but what does Light have to say? Light says weapon dust is gonna be big. Break down items to make more items. Gonna be great. Wow. Okay, so maybe you have a shield, maybe you have a sword, and you can use that dust to dissolve it and try to create something else. And so uh, this forever exchange of trying to build, break down, and rebuild your top thing. It already happens with the heroes, but with the heroes, if you build an NFT, right, or summon an NFT, that's your form of building, and there's a inflationary aspect to that if there isn't scarcity, right? And so you're gonna have your floor heroes be whatever price they are. You're gonna have your top advanced elite exalted heroes be whatever floor they are, but you're gonna have some of these amulets and some of these weapons and items that are created that there's only two or three that exist that exist in the game. And if you're going to be a forager, or if you're going to be building some of these items and you have the history from previous games, or you figure out what the mechanisms are for the DFK realm, you could be looking at items and weapons that are worth way more than the heroes, right? And that's a big part of what we've been waiting for, right? We have our economic hardening, our ecosystem now set with certain mechanisms. And now we're looking for the gang buster opportunities, the tournament opportunities, the absolute euphoria of winner and loser, and the ability to gather and watch devastation happen. That is what we are ready for. Okay. And that is just right around the corner. I can smell it. Right. And so that's for me, that's what I caught and paid attention to, is that if they are already starting to drop some of these mechanisms of gameplay as they are being asked in these AMAs, then some individuals are building out. They've built out their questing, they've built out their duels, they built those things out. Now they're going to getting ready to be creators and real world builders, and that's actually a part of the $13 holla tournament. And what's going on with that, right? That leads us right into the $13 holla, where we have the jewelers who come on at 9:30. Okay. If you aren't following the jewelers, make sure you holler at their Twitter. Make sure you holler at their YouTube. They're coming on right after me. Big shout out to them. But the $13 holla, and we're talking about amulets, that leads right to it, because for season one, all right, of this pilot, of this community tournament style thing we have here, if the boar hunt happens within the season and you on the $13 holla take your hero out and you come up with the amulet, the game totally changes. And if you can do that with the $13 holla, man, you will probably be legendary. But not only will you be legendary, you will have probably you probably would be the champion of the entire $13 holla. So the hunt is on. All right. These individuals, Affinity Lotus, aka Light, Mega, Dags, Tro, Worm, these individuals are going to be active on just a $13 holla account. They're gonna battle each other. Okay, we're gonna pick a time next week where we're gonna do the first rendition, okay, of private duels between these individuals, and it's gonna be we're gonna go squad. Okay, the 1v1, that's for later in the season. That's gonna be for all the jewels or the marbles. Okay, we're gonna do the squads duels, and we're gonna pick a time next week where we're gonna get that done. Ooh. All right, my screen is acting up, guys. If you can hear me, let me get a one. Let me get a one again. If you can hear me, let me get a one. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Looks like my screen came back. Looks like my screen came back. All right, cool. Let me see if I can get myself back in here. Let's see if I can get. Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Okay, cool. All right, guys, thanks for having this patience with me. My goodness. Talk about on the fly. Talk about on the fly. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Whatever I did there, I'm never going to do again. Um, so yeah, real quick, talking about the AMA, talking about DFK, we're gonna hop back into the $13 holla, but real quick. Oh, you know what? Let's wrap up the $13 holla. So, guys, seriously, sometime next week, we're gonna have our duels. These guys are gonna compete against each other. Um, for this week, it's been so crazy for me that the initial analysis of the wallets, I usually do an analysis the previous day, and then I do an analysis this live. But unfortunately, it would be a disservice if it wasn't a true analysis that I did before, as I like to do. So the bit of alpha with the $13 holla, the bit of info right there is that follow in with your boy Affinity, follow in with your boy Mega, follow in with your boy Dags, follow in with your boy Tro Crypto. And they're gonna have their days in which they're gonna do their duels against their specific opponent. And we're gonna let you guys know how that's gonna play out. I see these guys out here doing big things with a small wallet, and that's really the depiction that we're looking to put out there. But now that my screen is actually functioning, there's a few little tidbits that I wanted to mention before we hop out. Yep. Light is right. Light is right. You got 1 week to prepare when it comes to the $13 holla battle that we have going on. And we'll see what heroes, these guys come out with. Remember, at the end of the season, the losers are going to lose their PvP hero. They're just simply going to lose them. And the winner is going to take all the heroes. So all is up for grabs, right? That's what that's what we're working with here. All right. Um, so I wanted to kind of highlight one thing about the next crypto gem. And like I was saying, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing because my computer started acting quite weird. But regardless of how you think the show came out, and for me, I think it's lighthearted. I think they might have brought like some local comedians in and stuff like that. And it was cool. Um, like said, I did not tell you guys about the guidelines for the mini battle. Yeah, I don't know if my volume was tweaking out for the $13 holla initially when I started talking before my computer made that switch. But it's going to be duels in the sense of because with $13 you're gonna get kind of lower level heroes. So it's going to be under level 5 heroes in squads, right? So you can have anywhere from level 1 to level 5. We're going to utilize the squads, which is 3 heroes, okay? And then these guys are going to go at it. And we're going to base it on obviously winning and losing an X amount of rounds. And so further detail will come out on that, especially on Twitter. You guys keep an eye out for Twitter. You guys keep an eye out for the pages of the individuals that are participating in the $13 holla. But yeah, a little quick bit note on the next crypto gem. Like I said, it's cool. Like they're on the show. The show is, I mean, in terms of a crypto show, it's put together pretty well. There's an agenda in making it lighthearted, having different flavors to it. Dreamer's doing his thing. And even the fourth contestant that was revealed, which is Wag Me Games, they also came out very, very visually popping. They're having to explain blockchain and crypto in 2 minutes. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you asked me to do that, I'd say, hold on, I need some tea and at least 10 minutes. I don't know if 2 minutes is gonna do it. But I would give it my very best. So Dreamer went the route of actually explaining some of the technology and stuff behind it. And that's honestly where you have to start. And so the thing that I took from this is that you're now starting to see the network effects. Okay. Uh, in DeFi kingdoms, we have certain network effects already implemented. The AVAX connection, the Clayton connection, a Synapsis, all these other ecosystems that we've integrated with. But now you're seeing the integration of the DeFi kingdoms ecosystem with other blockchain gaming ecosystems. And that connectivity is going to create some great network effects, not only for the DFK network and blockchain, but with some of these other ecosystems who have yet to hear about DeFi Kingdom. So, for whatever the show pans out to be, I'm going to go watch the second half of the next crypto gym when I'm able to get it back working on my PC. But that's just my biggest take from it. Aside from how the show is going and how they're trying to lay it out and how they're trying to pitch it, um, I'm a big fan of what's happening, and individuals starting to work out. And you see even here the Scott Herman of Wag Me Game says we may be competing head to head now on Hourglass Wait, the next crypto gem, but we've got future plans, right? And so the tease to the marketing and working together aspect of things is being shown in this as well. I want to kind of finish off by looking at some charts. The itinerary and the agenda that I had for us, I started kind of blowing through it pretty fast just because I had a little bit of technical difficulty, and I could not give you guys a full breakdown of the different topics that I had here. But everything started from saying what is happening outside of our ecosystem, right? And we went over the proper party, which is happening in 2 weeks in New York City for XRP holders. Um, we talked about the Fed and what's happening in the U.S. economy. And even with the U.S. economy, um, I want to show you a pretty important date that's coming up here. Let me see if I can share my screen through it, because you have to watch what's happening outside of your bubble, right? We love to talk DFK, and we love to track what's going on in the ecosystem. I've loved to do it, especially with some of the recent bullish activity that's been happening. But the U.S. credit score just recently got downgraded. We have to take that into effect. Let's breathe it in, right? Fitch downgrades the United States long-term rating to AA plus from AAA, and that speaks directly to what's happening with the U.S. banks and um the dollar. What's happening with the dollar, BRICS nation, and some of these other things, but it's basically showing that and with what's happening with inflation, the U.S. economy is moving steady, but it is not as strong as it was before. And just don't be surprised if there's turmoil on the way, right? But I think part of the reasons why I am so bullish on um, blockchain technology, cryptography, and digital assets is that there are a lot of solutions that are in this ecosystem that's going to be able to touch other ecosystems, and put us in a place where we're solving problems. And when we can go from meme coins, and just yeah, rug pulls, when we can go from that to actually solving problems, um, eh, price is gonna do what price does. What right? Because with demand comes volume, and with volume comes price action, right? So we have Red Room Media here saying keep it moving. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it moving. Lay says, yo, but found me a Muxer rune just finding a rune on the live. Yo, I actually found a rune right before I hopped on. Um, I found the room right before I hopped on. But yeah, so that's the aspect again when we were talking about the first part of this podcast and what's going on, what's happening outside of your ecosystem. The US rating being dropped just shows you, like, if you are here and you're betting only on the US and what it's set up, you have to think twice. You have to have an international mind. And crypto is international, right? And you're going to have um to make some hard decisions with where we're going. Another thing that I wanted to address in the earlier section as well is with the US, what's happening right now, right? We have most of the major worlds. Um, Light says, I'm moving to Vietnam to open some open some companies. Oh man, are you coming with? Hey, listen, man. If there are opportunities in Vietnam, look, I'm a history guy, and I followed a lot of what's happened in. I follow a lot of what's happened in history and the Vietnam War, and some of those things. And oh, how do I fix this? Some of those things. How do I fix this? Let me get this situated here. Oh yes, there we go. And so yeah, I'd love to actually go to Vietnam and check it out and see if there's opportunities down there. But in short, I wanted to touch base on the fact that the U.S. government, okay, as hard as they're being on crypto, they are working to draft standards and frameworks to be able to oversee and regulate this industry. That's literally what's happening, and that's what's been happening for the last year and a half, and what will continue to happen for another probably year and a half, right? And so you have Republicans, you have Democrats, and uh they're fighting for what each party wants, who wants to sneak this thing in the bill, who wants to put this thing in the bill, but they're meeting on a consistent basis. And the most recent meeting that happened was the hearing entitled to Digital Dollar Dilemma: the implications of the central bank digital currency and private sector alternatives, right? And so what were they talking about? Well, they were talking about the power of the Mint Act, Digital Dollar Prevention Act, and CBDC Anti Surveillance State Act. Okay, this thing was like 5 hours long. But in short, we have our the U.S., our governmental agencies, Congress, Senate, meeting to determine, hey, if we're gonna have CBDCs, what surveillance type things are we looking for, right? Are we concerned about um, AML, right? KYC, know your customer, how, and so all these things are happening, and the White House gave an executive order about a year and a half ago. And I think that executive order was to tell these agencies to work together to come up with a framework. And so, for wherever you are and whatever state you are, it makes sense to look at what's happening and these legislations that are being passed by, and what you like and what you don't like, right? If hey, as an XRP investor, when the case dropped, when the case dropped, 75,000 of us said, "Oh, you suing Ripple? You're saying that XRP is a security? Okay, sue us too. Yeah, sue us too. Put 75,000 names down. Sue us too because we got some evidence. we got something to say." So 75,000 XRP investors literally put their name in the lawsuit, including me, and said, "Come at me, bruh." And we're seeing that if you know what's going on in your ecosystem, not just on the price action, not just on the economics, not just on the technical, but also too on the fundamental and geopolitical, knowing what some of these things are and what's going on can help you to be able to understand not only why certain things happen, but what it's going to take for you to get to that end goal, because that end goal is to be profitable from the things that we're getting into, right? Yeah, Defikingdoms is fun, but if it goes to zero, I'll be pretty pissed off, right? XRP is cool, but if it doesn't get used around the world, it's there's not going to be volume and it's not going to go up. So some of these things that we're looking at, it is about looking at things in a macro sense and understanding outside of that bubble what things are happening in the world and how it's going to affect your investments. And so we were going to do a few charts, but really we would just look at Bitcoin, right? And why will we look at Bitcoin to wrap this up? We'll look at Bitcoin to wrap this up because Bitcoin is going to tell us everything else that's going to happen, right? With Jewel, and I use Jewel as one example of something with price action because Jewel is the main token of the DFK ecosystem, even though I like looking at a lot of other different charts. But looking at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's, and what I meant to say was Jewel moved really well, even as Bitcoin went through this downwards period right here. And when you look at this downward period right here that came about, this has been at least 77 days, right? So a part of this 77 days where Bitcoin was going down, Jewel was moving against Bitcoin, especially with that impulse. And so, what does that tell me? Well, that tells me that when Bitcoin picks things back up, Jewel is ready to go. All right, Jewel is ready to go. When Bitcoin picks things back up, we needed to see that bullish divergence come off of Jewel to have some confidence. I'm not 100% confident in Jewel's price action right now. And there are some things that we need to see, and we're going to talk about that, right? So we're finishing off with let me change my banner here. Man, my technical issues threw me off. Yeah. Yeah, my technical issues threw me off, man. Yeah, I'm gonna switch my banner here. I'll get better. Um, I'll get better at doing that. So yeah, so what am I looking forward for from Bitcoin? Earlier I said that with Bitcoin, we're looking for the short-term price action. What are we expecting from the short-term price action from Bitcoin. Honestly, this is what I love to do, but sometimes I feel like um, you guys may not be so much interested in the chart. But I can spend 2 to 5 hours looking at charts all day. So this is Bitcoin, right? We had this rejection, not even a rejection, right? It went below it, which is 29. And this is after we, hit our 30,000 mark, and we've been coming down from there ever since, right? Light says KYC gonna be a bitch uh on your taxes. Yeah, it's gonna be annoying, but you're gonna have companies that come up with products that make these sort of things easy for you. And that's why I always like to say crypto is a solution looking for problems, and for those who are intelligent enough to make businesses around making things easier for people, they're going to make a lot of money. And the blockchain is something that can be coded to interoperate or be interoperable with other technologies out there. And so we're looking at Bitcoin. Shout out to Grady. We're looking at Bitcoin. And so, what am I expecting with some of these short term movements? Well, if you look at the recent downtrend, we've come now and we're sitting in this range, right? We're sitting in this range, and I'll go to the 4 hours so we can see a little better. We had a channel here that we were following. And for me, this channel continued to be respected um, until there was a deviation, right? And for me, what I said last time is, I'm expecting Bitcoin to come back into this channel after this deviation, and I'm expecting a 57% run from this area. This area that I initially was looking at is at 29.6, and we're quite a ways from there right now. So it's been a deviation, and I expect Bitcoin to start moving pretty aggressively. I expect the impulse maybe in the next 4 to 7 days, and that impulse is going to test out this area that we have here, which is local resistance. If you see, after it hit that 30K and it dipped below here, it tried a few times to get above it. It pierced up above it, and then got rejected again, at that $30,000 mark. So I'm expecting an impulse. And from that impulse, we could see a rejection to come back to this trend. And even though Bitcoin deviated from, hey, Worm says, love the chart education. Awesome. I'm going to keep doing it. Even though Bitcoin deviated from this original blue trend line, as long as it continues to follow this, and, I'm expecting an impulse. So at some point, I'm expecting an impulse and a retest of this 30 range here. And even if it gets back to 30, deviates again, as long as it continues this trend here, I'm cool with it. We're looking at the 4 hour chart right now. So this is a few days that we have here. And so that's really what I'm expecting. Is there a possibility that Bitcoin breaks below this consolidation area in this trend line? Yeah, nothing's impossible. But for me, really, especially after this dip here, where we found support at some of these local highs here, especially because of that, because of this consolidation that we have going on here. I don't think it dips any lower. If it does even come back down here to about 25.9, 25.8 type of a thing. And if it does that, there are not a lot of longs set in the market right now. And so I think buyers are waiting to come in as well. And what's going to happen with this Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock and from some of these other entities? October, the SEC has to make a decision. The SEC could reject it again, but every 3 months, the SEC has to make a decision. And quite honestly, I think if we go, we'll go as far as March. March is like March is it. March of next year is it with the SEC and what they have going on. But even if we deviate and come back down here and test this range here, I'm expecting an impulse really at some point to get us out of these ranges here and to retest this $30,000 range. And if we can do that, the market, I can see the market trying to short at 28. But if we get to 28, even if we correct down a little bit, and we have buyers come in aggressively, because people are going to be looking to short, and this is normally where shorts get wrecked, and we get quite an impulse here to try to come back and get back into this range here. This is the range that I'm following here for Bitcoin. And so, what does that say about the rest of crypto and the rest of the ecosystem? Well, if we're looking at Bitcoin, um, the monthly chart, and let me just, I don't want to, blind you guys. If you're looking at the month of currently September, we have a nice little hammer that we formed here. Okay. Remember, this white line here is from when this deviation happened. And this white line is another trend line from when the new price action started. And so we have this monthly candle here that is a bit of a hammer. And what we could possibly be looking for is an engulfing candle, right? And so um, no matter what happens the rest of this month, if we get a strong impulsive move from Bitcoin, that makes a whoa, what are you doing to my marker here? I'm gonna draw it over here. If we get this strong impulsive move from Bitcoin, all right, that marks up and lines up. Oh man, this is a horrible drawing here, but that lines up with this here. If this month closes above 29.3, oh my goodness, that will be the biggest bull ever, because you will have created an engulfing candle that engulfs the previous candle from the bottom range, and comes and closes above it on the top range. And if this month can close, if this month can close above this, oh my goodness, I'll be sitting there very bullish. And from here, what percentage move is that? Well, to meet the candle, it's a 10% move. Okay, so if Bitcoin makes a 10% move to $26,000, 26.1, I'll feel okay about it. If it corrects down here, I'll say, okay, well, it's not really an engulfing candle. I'm not that bullish. But if it comes and makes at least 11% move and closes the month at 29.6, boy, oh boy, it is off to the races for October, November, December, right? So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Long term, I think the XRP chart looks much better than the Bitcoin chart. We want to be careful about this monthly indicator that's showing that it could still turn negative. And so when I look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin, um, again, we could a weekly hammer. Okay, the weekend is normally slow. But let's wait. Let's wake up and see what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday looks like. But again, I'm expecting Bitcoin to come back into this channel zone here so we can continue this ladder movement that we're doing here. And I expect it to be impulsive. All right, as we're rounding out. All right, as we're rounding out this phase here. Which are phases that we saw here and here as well. So that's my input on Bitcoin. What does that say about the rest of the ecosystem? It means that when Bitcoin moves, all coins will move as well, but Bitcoin dominates, right? Bitcoin dominates. Grady says, I'm gonna read what Worm actually said. Worm said, I love the chart education. I need to get better versed on how to use programs like Deck Screener as far as plotting lines and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Listen, there are many levels to charting, right? If you are a macro person, if you look at things in the long term, you can spend 10 hours, 5 hours, know the basics of support resistance, and you can watch the bigger time frames and sit back and watch how The price action respects or disrespects whatever support and resistance that you're drawing. And over time, you'll see what support and resistances end up being respected, and you'll know to follow that. So it's beautiful, just like football, just like basketball, like any sport, to have your chart, set your boundaries, and to see how the price moves and respects or disrespects those boundaries. So Grady says, "Love you, man. About to fly home from Vegas, Seattle conference." Yeah, I know Grady's been traveling, man. I know Grady's been traveling. Some of the team members have been traveling. Grady, man, you keep doing what you got to do, man. Love your energy. Going to continue supporting you. Um, but yeah, man, I appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. Get home safely. Back to your home, back to your kids. So we can keep this fun going. So now we're gonna take a quick look at Joel, right? I really, I really, I have the same thing to say about Joel that I've been saying, for a while, right? Jewel is the deflationary token right now in the ecosystem. Is this for me to expand? Where's my expand button right here? I want to expand this. Did I forget how to? Oh, here we go. Ooh, that doesn't look right. Man, I thought I had my expand button here. Anyway, we're gonna use what we have. Okay. So following Jewel, and I'm going to go to the 3-day chart because I love the 3-day chart. The 3-day chart gives you really good indication of what's going on. So we're going to look at Jewel. All right. We're looking at Jewel. We're looking at the 3-day chart. If I can remember where my expand button is, I can give you guys a much better feel of this chart. All right, so we have Jewel here. What did we say last time, right? We said that this 33-cent area is the area where you want to get excited about, right? What's happening down here in the trenches, it's not that exciting. And that's because this trend line that we have here, Jewel has continued to reject. Okay. We had this bullish movement that it did here. Okay. And that was, November to December, right before 2023 started. But since that rejection of this area, we have done nothing but just trend down, right? And even when we made that impulsive movement, what we had was divergence, right? And I'm gonna, oh, what's going on here? What we had was divergence, right? Where you have price showing 2 points of downwards action, but oh, can I switch here? Yeah, when you have price showing two actions of downwards action, I'm gonna change this to white, and then you have RSI, relative strength index, showing upwards action. Now, this is not, you don't see it super clearly, but it's there. We got the impulse from there where Jewel went up about 90%. And I said that I would not be surprised to see what? I would not be surprised to see this action come up, reject here, come back down, reject here, come back down, and then escape. Okay. If it escapes, it has a lot of resistance here at 17 cents. Okay. If you come down, even if you come back down to test another local support and resistance area here, okay, we still have an opportunity to make our way from out of here when we find, honestly, if you want to be extremely honest, if we don't get some aggressive like buying here, we have this scenario. Boom, boom, boom to 7 cents again to retest this low here and to start figuring out how to make our way out of here. Now, both scenarios could happen. If both happen, I am not too surprised. What we do want to make sure that we see, because it could be very dangerous, okay? It could be very dangerous if it makes its way down here. You'll see sentiment very low, and you'll see people going a little crazy. But even if the price does this aspect here and comes back down to retest this area, which I don't expect it to. If anything, I expect it to retest this area here at 9 cents, which boy oh boy, will I be scooping some up. As long as this RSI continues to play out what? Continues to play out bullish divergence. So even if this RSI comes down here, as price goes down, boom, and we get a move from here. Comes down, boom, and we get a move from here. Boom, and we get a move from here. That's exciting to see. All right. And as the RSI price comes down initially, you may see this retest of this 9 area. But even if price is going down and we're not seeing major movements, but this RSI continues to have higher lows, that is a sign of demand in the market. That is a great sign of demand in the market. So we're just watching to see if we see these movements here. And we need to see this respecting of this price action happens here. When you look at the weekly chart, you don't see divergence as well. And so for the weekly longer term chart, again, you it's very small, but yes, it's there. It's very small, but yes, it's there, right? Boom, headshot. That's right, like that's right. And so what we analyzed 4 weeks ago is still here. The patience is still there. Would I love to see it, bounce off this 11 range for sure? But this is a range here. All right. Look at this. This is down at 7 cents. As long as we get a higher low, okay, we get a higher low that happens here. We get a higher low that happens here. We can make our way up out of here. So that's the jewel chart. Skiller says, trade. What do you think about having Jewel listed on a major exchange? That's a great question, Skiller. I think it's going to happen. Um, I think that it did not happen before, and this is why I talk about XRP, and this is why I think that the DeFi Kingdoms community needs to realize that they have a lot more in common with the XRP community than any other community in crypto. And what I mean by that is a lot of FUD, a lot of misrepresentation in the early days, but a proof of work and proof of technology that's just absolutely amazing. But to touch on what Skiller is asking about the major exchange, Dreamer and the rest of Kingdom Studios was very nervous about, not only their treasury and for some of these major exchanges having to, not only provide liquidity but dish out $50,000 to $100,000 to get listed, because that $50,000 to $100,000 is what's going to provide that liquidity for the exchange to list. But with the XRP ruling that XRP was not a security, Dreamer and the team now have much, much more confidence to go out there, get on a big exchange, and allow liquidity to start flowing, and allow quick access to Jewel. And so I know they're talking to Coinbase. I know their treasury is now in a better position, to go list on a couple major exchanges. And I think that is certainly coming. I think, they're probably focused and prioritizing gameplay right now. And before anything else, as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on them listing on a major exchange. It's for sure coming. It's been a part of the roadmap, but they just had to be very careful about, about the regulatory hurdles that they would have to go through. So a few other quick charts here, and shout out to Skiller for a great question. Um, and again, this podcast was about what's happening outside of your ecosystem. We talked about that. We ran through some of that. We're gonna finish off getting back into the ecosystem, and wrapping things up here. If you guys have any chart you actually want me to look at, let me know. You got a Skiller. If you have any charts you want me to actually look at, let me know. I'd be more than happy to look at it and give my analysis on it. DFK gold egg. We see that it's maintained since it kind of is in a consolidation area. When you look at its price history, and it's been forming this little zigzag here. But when you look at that zigzag, it's a channel that's created that's still kind of in a downtrend, right? And so, you want to be careful about being too optimistic about something that is showing a bit of a downtrend. But at the same time, I'm looking for my indicators here. I guess I can't find it. We'll find you. We'll find you next time. We'll find you next time. Oh wait, no, I found it. I found it. Where is it? Parallel channel. Here we go. So, even though DFK Gold, Golden Egg has made some movements, and like I stated in the previous, in the early parts of this podcast, is that Dreamer said, "Hey, we may have to back off of, or we are backing off of yellow eggs and gold egg utility." Because we're just working on what we are working on, and so you see it within this channel here, and it's in a downtrend, even though it's having spikes. And so, what do we actually need to see from DFK Gold is, in this mid area, if it could find some support here and start trending up, we would love to see that. We love to see this happen, but something like this could also happen. And by G golly, I, I don't know if DFK Gold would go to 15 cents, but if it does, G golly, will I be liquidating some things to get in there? When we look at the when we look at the I mean, so when we look at the 3-day chart, it's looking a little bearish right now. But I'm expecting support here at 56 cents, and if it damn sure gets to 56 cents, what you see with 56 cents is a lot of support. All right, last time it bounced, support. Last time it bounced, so 56 cents, 50 to 56 cents for gold is something that we are looking at. But as we always say, right, we're looking for divergence. We're looking at this RSI here that matched evenly. If we can get some sort of continued uptrend, and again, you can barely see it, but this RSI is trending up, right? If we can see this thing come down here and find some support, what does this say? This means there's probably going to be some support pretty soon to be found here for DFK Gold. And where will that sit at? Because this MACD could mark a bottom here at 67 cents, 61 cents. We can even draw some Fibonacci retracements, on a high and a low. And I would consider using this because it's found support here. I would consider using this as a high, using this area as a low. And so, yeah, it could very well retest 48 cents. But it could also make its way up out of here into back into a dollar. But I'm still buying and accumulating at the current stage. All right. And if we look at the weekly chart, man, the weekly chart looks really good for DFK Gold. And that's why I like to look at macro, right? In this room, we follow macro. Skiller says, nice. I still need to buy Jewel. I mean, hey, look, we're all in our accumulation phase. Jewel is in accumulation phase. And so I really like the weekly chart that I see for DFK Golden Egg. It's following this movement here, and you're seeing RSI and buying pressure build here on DFK Gold Egg. But you guys know I also love to watch DFK Yellow Egg. And so we're going to take a quick look at that as well. The jewelers come on in about 25 minutes. The jewelers come on in about 25 minutes. Light says 100 million gold soon, too. Man, 100 million gold is pretty baller. 100 million gold is pretty baller. I'm working on, a couple million myself right now. My heroes are worth 1 million jewels. That's right, Skiller. That's right, Skiller. And in this ecosystem, if you ever wanted to liquidate them, man, you have at least 30 to 40% of your heroes are beastly. And so you would be able to liquidate your guys pretty quickly. Pretty good quickly. Um, Good as gold. That's right. That's right, Red Room Media. Good as gold. And so yellow pet eggs for me, this downtrend it's sitting at 15 cents right now. This is definitely a buy zone for me. When we're looking at the daily chart, we're seeing that it went above the 618 here from this impulse that I had here at around 8 cents. And it's still from that 8 cent area and that impulse still up about 75%, had a high of about 117%. So normally what you see in charts is you see an impulsive move, all right, from where the impulse was, and then you see about a 50% correction from that top. So 50% could even be at 14 cents, 13 cents, which we've seen it there, in September itself. And so I'm an accumulator of yellow eggs here. When we look at the 3-day chart, we see that it could be finding some support here. Again, RSI, we want that to continue to build. And then when I come over to the weekly, the thing I said about Bitcoin having an engulfing candle that could push up, that could happen the opposite way. An engulfing candle can happen the opposite way. And so, you know, you can have a downwards engulfing candle. And if this month, or let's say this week closes out where DFK yellow eggs closes out below this area, which means 13 cents, but not even just 13 cents. If it closes at 12.80, I will be less bullish this week. But if it closes anywhere here in this area and find support, I'm pretty optimistic about the following weeks to come. And when you look at RSI is important to look at, right? And we'll look at green peg egg RSI in a second, because green peg egg has been doing this thing. Yellow peg eggs RSI is even below the average zone that it's supposed to be in. This shaded area is the average zone that a asset is supposed to trade in. If we look at Jewel, right, and then we'll take a quick look at Jewel real quick, you see this shaded area? This shaded area is the average zone that a thing trades in. If we're looking at yellow eggs, it is below its average zone of trading for the RSI. So that's my first indication that it is severely undervalued. The RSI has come back up to test some local highs of demand, and it's, I think, going to try to make its way back into its range. So at 15 cents right now, I love it. We're going to look at green pet egg as an example of what happened as green pet egg was in the middle of launching and how that moved, right? And so we have green pet eggs, right? I'm going to go ahead and put my indicators here, because sometimes when I put my indicators on, they can disappear. But when you've been doing this for a while, you know exactly what to pull up, right? So we're going to take green pet eggs here. I'm going to adjust my chart here. All right. And Red Room Media says beastly. Yeah, I hope you mean some of these charts we're looking at is beastly. But okay, green pet egg, right? We're looking at green pet egg right now. I'm gonna open up a smaller time frame just to draw some fibs on green pet egg. So we have a high, and then we have I can't even do it on this. So we'll leave that alone. So green pet egg has been doing this thing, right? Let's look at the weekly for green pet egg, and then we'll look at the daily. Green pet eggs have been doing this thing. We went through the green pet egg hatching. People were hatching their eggs. And we see that on the weekly chart, green pet egg looks amazing, right? It also had divergence. And again, When you see something, it's okay to follow it on every other aspect of the ecosystem, right? And so green pet eggs, you see that green pet eggs was trading below its range, below its average range. We see that here, right? That's what I meant to show you guys. It was trading below its average range. And while it was in its average range, what did it do? It created divergence. People say the trade room loves divergence, but it is what it is. Higher points, a lower high in RSI, but then you had price action that was pointing its way downwards, a lower high, a lower low, and a lower low. But you have a lower high, a higher low, and a higher low. I'm sorry, I'm mixing my words up here. A higher low in RSI, all right, which is relative strength index, and the buying that's happening in the markets with divergence to the price action. And what have you had since then? You have an RSI that has come back into range, and is looking to work its way back into its normal trading range. And eventually, it will get in a very bullish mode if it is able to do what? If it is able to work its way out of here, get above this middle range, and work its way into super bullish territory. And what have we seen do that? Okay. First of all, the upside for right now for um, green eggs is 73. I want to mark that here. The upside right now is 62 cents. Okay. 74 cents. And then a lot of resistance here at 97 cents. Okay. Close to $1. That's what we can expect from uh, green eggs, right? Now, what can we compare, to the green eggs right here? That's just that's just doing its thing, right? And that is the moksha runes, right? Moksha runes are doing their thing. We had our leveling event. We've done all that. There's a correction that's happened since that, but we see Moksha Rune has been doing this thing. But the primal last example of what I want to give you is some of these indicators. When you're looking at it, okay, relative strength index, and then we're gonna go MACD. When you're looking at these indicators, it is important, okay. When you look at Moksha Runes has always traded within its trading zone, right? Now, if we're looking at Moksha Rune's price history, every time what? Every time RSI makes its way up, price action makes its way up. Okay. And so relative strength index is just one thing to really follow and to use and to look at the long time frames. All right. Volume. Volume is also one to use and to watch its long time frames because you see volume for Moksha Runes picking up. That's a good indicator. But you see that Moksha Runes was below, not even below, it was at the bottom of its trading range. And as it made its movement up on a longer time frames, it appreciated in price. So I'm pretty bullish on gold. I'm pretty bullish on those things because they're undervalued and they're under looked at, right? Even when you look at DFK gold itself, we had this divergence here as well. Prices coming down. It may want to retest this, area here, but we have RSI that's making movements in a direction that came out of its zone here. So that's all I have for the charts here. To wrap everything up here, looking at everything in a big picture, okay, in the macro sense. If we're looking at things in the macro sense, then we know that things take time to pan out. We know that there are things that are happening in the outside world that's affecting us in the real world as well. We know that the U.S. is, a leading. We know the U.S. is a leading place when it comes to the financial markets and equity, and we know that the U.S. government are putting together, their frameworks for the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and so we're looking at the outside in. We have to make sure that the Federal Reserve doesn't trash the markets, and that the U.S. is able to put out their regulations and not put too much surveillance in that as well. We're looking at Bitcoin. We're looking for an impulse, and we're looking to take advantage of being here in this ecosystem. Whether you're dollar cost averaging, whatever you're doing, if you have a system for yourself, trust in yourself. This is not financial advice from me, but trust in yourself. Continue to do what you're doing. I thought I may want to summon before leaving the stream. Excuse me. I thought I may want to summon before leaving the stream. I'm on my paladin build, but we'll save that. Okay, we got we got the jewelers coming on. I'm sure they have a lot of good content. I hope they talk to you guys about the $13 holla and what they have been doing there. But thanks everybody for showing up. Um, you know, Grady, love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Skiller, you the man. And not next week, but the next couple of weeks. Like I said, I'm gonna be putting out the summoning. Hey, Skiller said, don't forget to click. Yeah, I got an airdrop. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing the airdrop game, doing a little couple of duels, here and there. Lesser finesse, swiftness crystal. You can't go too wrong with that. We're gonna do that, but yeah, love you guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for dealing with the technical difficulties. We'll get on another one soon without technical difficulties. The trade room. We're gonna go out to some music here, man. We gotta go out to some music here. Oh, where we at? Where we at? Oh no, is it gonna play? Come on now. No, if it's playing. All right, peace, guys.